The House will come to order. Members, please register. Have all members registered? A quorum is present. Will the House and gallery please rise for the invocation which will be offered by the chaplain?
All compassionate Father, you hear the cry of the poor, of the distressed, of the anxious, of the overworked, the cry of all those who turn to you in humility. We today raise our own voices to you, that you would incline your ear to us and grant the desires of our hearts. Purify our intentions, so that we may love you above all things with all our heart, soul, and strength, and that we may love all whom we encounter this day for your sake. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
The chair recognizes the Honorable James Tallarico of Travis County to lead us in the pledges of allegiance to the United States and Texas flags.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Doorkeeper.
Mr. Speaker, I have a messenger from the Senate at the door of the House.
Admit the messenger.
Mr. Speaker, I'm directed by the Senate to inform the House that the Senate has taken the following action. The Senate has passed the following measures. SB 22, Springer, relating to the establishment of grant programs to provide financial assistance to qualified sheriff's office and prosecutor offices in rural counties. SB 63, Zaffarini, relating to an instruction guide for family members and caregivers of veterans who have mental health disorders.
Thank you, sir. The chair is pleased to recognize Dr. Roseanne Popp from Houston as the Doctor of the Day. Please excuse Mr. Schaefer because of important business in the district and the motion. Mr. Metcalf, is objection. Chair hears none, so ordered. Mr. Metcalf moves to dispense the reading and referral of bills until the end of today's calendar. Is objection. Chair hears none, so ordered. Members, can I have your attention, please? We're about to take up several resolutions, the beginning of which are memorial resolutions. Please take your seats. The chair recognizes Ms. Howard for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to suspend all necessary rules to take up and consider House Resolution 566.
Members, you heard the motion. The objection, the chair hears none, and the rules are suspended. The following resolution, the clerk will read the resolution.
H.R. 566 by Howard, in memory of William Rayford Price of Austin, former Speaker of the Texas House of Representatives.
The chair recognizes Ms. Howard to explain the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members, and former Speaker of the House, Dean Craddock, is joining me today to be here to have the opportunity to present this memorial resolution in recognition of the 68th Speaker of the Texas House, Rayford Price. Rayford served in the House for 6 terms and was proud to have initiated reforms around how the House functioned to restore trust in a more representative government. I met Rayford almost 2 decades ago when he sought me out to find out who was this person that was running to be his state representative. He became a supporter, a mentor, and a friend to me. Rayford continued to contemplate how the House could improve our rules, manage the number of bills filed, and actually meet in off years for a limited session to address our 2-year budget mid-cycle. For you see, Rayford loved the House, and he loved Texas. And if you ask anyone who knew him to offer one word that would describe Rayford, that word would be integrity. My husband Derek and I became friends with Rayford and his wife of 61 years, Barbara Price, and we shared many wonderful meals together filled with lively discussions and laughter. I want to end by quoting Representative Ed Howard, who nominated Rayford for Speaker. That, my friend and colleagues, is what Texans want from us. They want integrity, solid leadership, and they want to take pride in their government. Rayford Price stands for all these things that we must have. I therefore place in nomination the only man who can give us effective government and restore public confidence, Rayford Price. Joining us today up on the dais are Rayford's family, his wife Barbara, his sons Brandon Price and Brett Price, and his daughter Diana Martinez. Mr. Speaker, I move adoption.
The question occurs on the adoption of the resolution. All in favor, please rise. The resolution is unanimously adopted. Mr. Craddock moved out all members' names to the resolution. Objection, chair has none, so ordered. Members, please take your seats. We have another memorial resolution, followed by 3 more memorial resolutions. Members, please take your seats. Members, your seats are the chair things with armrests. The chair recognizes Ms. Thompson of Harris for a motion. It's not working. The red light's on. Yep. Nope. Members, you may have not heard that motion, but Ms. Thompson moves to suspend the rules. You've heard it. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the rules are suspended. Yep. Can I turn this mic around? And the switch is off. It was on, but the switch was off. Yeah. It's hot. Okay. I can't turn it off. Going a cappella? Everybody's an electrician right now.
Speaker's mic is on, even though we turned all the switches on. So I don't know if they can hear us on the webcast or not. AD's on. Okay, perfect. Okay, that's fine. So we're just waiting. Something. lunch in Ms. Hernandez's office today because it's going to take us forever now to get through everything. We're going to cancel that.
Members, please take your seats. We're back in business. The chair recognizes Ms. Thompson of Harris for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, members, I move to suspend all necessary rules so the House may take up and consider House Resolution 587.
Members, you heard the motion. Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the rules are suspended. The following resolution, the clerk will read the resolution.
H.R. 587 by Thompson of Harris in memory of Jimmy Don Blair.
The chair recognizes Ms. Thompson to explain the resolution.
Mr. Speaker and members, Jim Blair was a person who was be considered bigger than life. He was a pillar of his community. He was an avid person who worked in all kinds of contribution and charitable purposes to help his community. And if you ever saw him, he was such a jolly person. We used to have an opportunity to have Christmas events, and he always come, and if you didn't know it, you thought he was Santa Claus, because he would always wear a big hat, Christmas hat, and he had the appearance of that kind of person. He was a person that was deeply involved in education and the expansion of educational opportunities, not only for children, but for young people. He was big in his employment by making sure that he hired a cross-section of persons from all levels of capacities of work to give them not only a job, but a chance to be able to grow and thrive, and to make sure that they were able to take care of their families, but also make contributions to their communities. He was a person that I had known for a very long time and come to admire, because not only was he a big person in stature, but he was big-hearted, he was generous, he was kind, he was courageous, he was a Christian, and he was everything that we would say if we would remember verses and say that love your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. He was a person who really loved his neighbor as himself.
The chair recognizes Mr. Toth.
Speaker and members, when I came to Texas in 1997, I visited the Woodlands, and I had a realtor that kept saying, you should look at Katy, you should look at Kingwood, you should look at Fort Bend County. And I was like, you've never been to the Woodlands. George Mitchell had a dream, but it took Jim and Nelda Blair to make that dream come to fruition. And we are so grateful, the 120,000 people of the Woodlands, for the selfless dedication and sacrifice the Blair family and Jim specifically mean to our community. We will miss him deeply. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Ms. Thompson of Harris.
Mr. Speaker and members, you know the Texas flag has a single star, and that single star represents many things. But the governor's office sent a flag to the Blair family. And when I think about that single star, I think a man who had a lot of integrity, who had a lot of charity in his heart, and a man who loved his state and worked hard to make Texas a great state. Please allow me to read the inscription that is sent by Governor Greg Abbott. The state of Texas governor, to all whom these presents shall come, greetings, Know ye that the Texas flag herewith presented to the family of Jim Blair was flown above the state capitol of the sovereign state of Texas in honor of his life, March the 29th, 2023. Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I move passage.
The question occurs on the adoption of the resolution. All in favor, please rise. The resolution is unanimously adopted. Mr. Metcalf moves to add all members' names to the resolution. The objection, chair hears none, so ordered. Members, we have another memorial resolution. The chair recognizes Mr. Dutton for a motion.
Mr. Speaker and members, I move to suspend all the rules, the necessary ones and the unnecessary ones, to take up and consider House Resolution 834.
Members, you heard the motion to suspend all rules, necessary and unnecessary. Is there objection? The chair hears none. The rules are suspended. Following resolution, the clerk will read the resolution.
H.R. 834 by Dutton, in memory of Curtis Lee Franklin, Sr.
The chair recognizes Mr. Dutton to explain the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, where I'm from, well done is always better than well said. And Curtis lived a life that made him a giant in his community, to his family. He was in the car business forever, and Houston will certainly miss him, but we're a greater community because Curtis Franklin lived. And so, Mr. Speaker, with that, I move passage.
The question occurs on the adoption of the resolution. All in favor, please rise. The resolution is unanimously adopted. Ms. Jones of Harris moves to add all members' names to the resolution. Objecting, chair hears none, so ordered. Members, please take your seats. We have another memorial resolution. The chair recognizes Dr. Anderson for a motion. Excuse me, back up, members. The chair recognizes Dr. Anderson for a memorial recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Norwood would like to, and myself would like to take a moment. There was a tragic death yesterday in the community of West. The West volunteer firefighter, Edward Hinkle, was struck and killed yesterday while handling a vehicle fire on I-35. Our hearts and prayers go out to his family and friends and fellow first responders as they deal with this tragedy. And this individual, Edward Hinkle, actually helped save people's lives in the West explosion a few years ago. And it's ironic that he was killed on I-35 here. And like I say, Representative Orr and I would like to recognize him and his family in this tragic time. And it's a reminder, too, when you're on the highway, any highway, if you see flashing lights, slow down, pull over. He was actually in front of two police cars, and another vehicle hit those two, and he was killed. So, Mr. Speaker, with that, if we could just have a moment of silence.
Members, please rise for a moment of silence. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The chair recognizes Mr. Frazier for a motion.
Mr. Speaker and members, move to suspend all rules and bring up H.R. 603.
Members, you heard the motion. The objection. The chair hears none. The rules are suspended. Following resolution, the clerk will read the resolution.
Your part.
H.R. 603 by Frazier in memory of Michael V. Foster of McKinney.
The chair recognizes Mr. Frazier to explain the resolution.
Mr. Speaker and members, this House rules in 603 honoring Michael Foster, his lifetime to service to McKinney. Born in Plainview, Texas in '68, Michael had a dedication to community service and civil responsibility his entire life. His service to McKinney, involvement with the Kiwanis Club, our Chamber of Commerce, our McKinney Alliance leadership, McKinney, and YMCA. Although he received the Distinguished Service Award from McKinney, City of McKinney as his pinnacle of treatment of life, he lived with his wife of 18 years, Shauna, his two children, Garrett and Aaron. Today, with the McKinney Gallery Collin County Days, I'm proud to present a resolution in honor of Mr. Foster and his service to McKinney. I move to adoption.
The question occurs on the adoption of the resolution. All in favor, please rise. The resolution is unanimously adopted. Members, we have one more memorial resolution. And the chair recognizes Dr. Rogers for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend all necessary rules to take up and consider HCR 95.
Members, you heard the motion. No objection. The chair hears none. And the chair hears none. The rules are suspended. Following resolution, the clerk will read the resolution.
HCR 95 by Rogers in memory of Patricia Pat Martin of Parker County.
The chair recognizes Dr. Rogers to explain the resolution.
Members and guests in the gallery, countless lives were touched by the kindness and generosity of Pat Martin of Parker County, who passed away on December 10, 2022. She was known throughout Parker County for her kindness, glowing personality, and fierce work ethic. Pat was one of a kind, loved unconditionally, and could bring out the best in everyone. She saw each day as a blessing and an opportunity to serve God in her community. One of her greatest strengths was her ability to laugh and bring joy in the face of any challenge or obstacle. A graduate of Weatherford College, Pat embarked on a career in land title insurance in 1974 and continued working in the industry for many years, all while raising her son, Brandon, as a single mom. In 2011, Pat married Jimmy Martin, and together they created a blended family that included their stepchildren, Tracy, Troy, and Annabeth. A doting grandmother, Pat treasured spending time with her 11 grandchildren and 13 great-grandchildren. As an active member in her community, Pat held leadership roles with the Parker County Committee on Aging, the Weatherford Chamber of Commerce, and the Weatherford Independent School District Education Foundation, and she served on the Parkview Terrace Housing Facility Board for many years. She was a founding member of the Parker County Health Foundation and was involved with the Weatherford Lions and Meals on Wheels. Sustained by a deep and abiding faith, Pat was a valued member of Willow Park Baptist Church. Known for her strength of character, her unconditional love, and her contagious laugh, Pat Martin brightened the world for all who knew her, and they will forever hold her close in their hearts. Though the 88th legislature of the state of Texas hereby pays tribute to the life of Pat Martin and extends sincere condolences to all who continue to mourn her passing from this life. I'd like to recognize her son, Brandon Chenault, and his wife, Rakisha, and many of her friends for traveling here today for this occasion. Mr. Speaker, I move adoption.
The question occurs on the adoption of the resolution. All in favor, please rise. The resolution is unanimously adopted. The chair recognizes Dr. Rogers for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend all necessary rules to take up and consider H.R. 692.
Members, you heard the motion. The objection. The chair hears none, and the rules are suspended. Following resolution, the clerk will read the resolution.
H.R. 692 by Rogers, recognizing March 29, 2023 as Parker County Day at the state capitol.
The chair recognizes Dr. Rogers to explain the resolution.
Members and guests in the gallery today, proud residents of Parker County are gathering here in Austin in celebration of Parker County Day at the state capitol. Established in 1855, Parker County is named for former state representative Isaac Parker, who brought 224 settlers to the region that same year. He was the uncle of Cynthia Ann Parker, the most famous captive in Texas history. The county's population and economy continued to expand during the late 19th century, which was spurred by the construction of 3 railroads in the area. Over the decades, Parker County has undergone many changes. The rich agricultural heritage that included large and smaller ranches and dairy farms and growing pecans and peaches is still part of the heart and soul of Parker County. Parker County is the peach capital of Texas, and the Parker County Peach Festival in Weatherford is the largest one-day event in the county. Horse farms are prevalent in the cutting horse capital of the world. But many of these farms and ranches are now thriving neighborhoods in one of the fastest growing counties in the country. Parker County offers some of the best schools in the state of Texas, and much of the amazing growth is the result of the excellent public and private schools. The county also boasts a variety of sports achievements, particularly from Brock and Aledo. And earlier this year, the Aledo Bearcats won their 11th state football championship. So with a population of over 150,000, Parker County offers an attractive rural setting combined with proximity to urban amenities, and its citizens can look back with pride at their unique history while they work to build a bright future. The House of Representatives of the 88th Texas Legislature hereby recognizes March 29, 2023 as Parker County Day at the state capitol and extends to the visiting delegation sincere best wishes for their stay in Austin. Mr. Speaker, I move adoption.
The question occurs on the adoption resolution. The objection, the chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. The chair recognizes Ms. Button for a recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, I am just absolutely excited to be here to recognize a group of wonderful leaders from the beautiful city of Saxe visiting us up right there. Please stand. We have Mayor Jeff Biggerstaff, Council Member Chance Lindsay Burler, Michelle Hofferworth, Gina Nash, City Manager Lauren Rose, and Police Chief Mary Wade, as well as Fire Chief David Bowen, and my colleague and I share the responsibility to keep the great city of Saxe's people happy. That's right. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Mr. Leach for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I move to suspend all necessary rules to take up and consider House Resolution 805.
Members, you heard the motion. Is objection? The chair hears none. The rules are suspended. Following resolution, the clerk will read the resolution.
H.R. 805 by Leach, recognizing March 28th and 29th, 2023 as Collin County's Day at the State Capitol.
The chair recognizes Mr. Leach to explain the resolution.
Where's Mahela? We need Mahela up here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, it's my privilege today to join my colleagues from Collin County standing here with me to celebrate Collin County Days here at the Texas Capitol. I know several of the folks who've made their way down from Collin County are here today. If you'll stand in the gallery, I think they're scattered. They're scattered about, several up here. And behind me and over here as well. It's great to see all of you members. Collin County is one of the largest and fastest growing counties in the state. More than 90% of the workforce in Collin County holds a high school diploma. Over half have earned their bachelor's degree. A highly skilled workforce makes our home county a leader in job growth, not only for the state of Texas, but for the entire country. We've attracted major corporations to plant not just roots, but deep roots in Collin County, such as Toyota, JP Morgan Chase, Raytheon, NetScout, the PGA, and more, including many, many wonderful mid-sized and small businesses. Collin County is home to over 30 cities and towns that have been named best places to live, to work, and to raise a family. I'm proud to, as I mentioned earlier, have representatives here. We're proud to have representatives here from all of those communities at the Capitol, and I'm proud to join with my legislative colleagues in celebrating what we think is the best of the 254 counties. Mr. Speaker, with that, I move adoption.
The question occurs on the adoption of the resolution. If there objection, the chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Ms. Pleasa moves out all members' names of the resolution. The objection, chair hears none, so ordered. The chair laid out the following previously adopted resolution. The clerk will read the caption.
H.R. 306 by Munoz, recognizing March 29, 2023 as Mission Day at the State Capitol.
The chair recognizes Mr. Munoz.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Today we have Mission Day here at the State Capitol. The city of Mission was founded in 1908, the year the Missouri Pacific Railroad was established in the area. The city was named for La Lomita Mission, which was located nearby, and since then, Mission, the home of the grapefruit, has grown to be a thriving city with a population of more than 86,000 individuals. Some of the first citrus trees in the Rio Grande Valley were planted in the Mission area, and today the citrus industry continues to be a multi-million-dollar business and is celebrated each year at the Texas Citrus Fiesta. Mission is also the center for international trade and entrepreneurship, and its Antadillos International Bridge provides a vital trade and tourism connection to Mexico. We have several international manufacturers and other dynamic firms that call Mission home. It is also a popular destination for winter Texans. Mission boasts about 50 RV parks and welcomes an estimated 25,000 seasonal residents during the coldest months of the year. There are many recreational opportunities within the city, such as the National Butterfly Center, the World Birding Center headquarters, the Benton Rio Grande Valley State Park, the Hike and Bike Trail, and since 2019, Mission has been recognized as an All-America City. There are many notable residents that have lived in the area, which included United States Senator and Treasury Secretary Lloyd Benson, United States Congressman Kiko de la Garza, and Mission was also the childhood home of legendary Dallas Cowboys coach Tom Landry, and a second home to Texas Governor Allen Shivers and three-time presidential candidate William Jennings Bryan. Today, they're at the Capitol celebrating Mission Day, and they also want to remind everybody that this evening there will be a reception at 5:30 at the Doubletree. We invite everybody to join us. We also have some guests in the gallery that are joining us here on behalf of the City of Mission on the east side. We have Mayor Nori Garza, Council Member Ruben Plata, Council Member Jessica Ortega Ochoa. We have City Manager Randy Perez. We also have Police Chief Mr. Cesar Torres, who's also here. Many people on behalf of the Chamber. We have the Mission EDC member Joe Vargas and other Mission Chamber board members. Thank you very much for joining us and being here at your state capitol. And we invite everybody this evening at 5:30. Thank you very much. God bless you.
The chair recognizes Mr. Guerra.
I will tell you, one of the finest cities in the Rio Grande Valley, and I'm proud that I live in Mission, Texas. It is, again, one of the greatest cities in the Rio Grande Valley, and if not in Texas. God bless Mayor, God bless City Commissioners, and all the residents in Mission, Texas. God bless you.
The chair lays out the following previously adopted resolution. The clerk will read the caption.
H.R. 90 by Shine, congratulating U.S. Army Staff Sergeant retired John Footman on his official receipt of the Bronze Star Medal with Floor Device and the Purple Heart for service in the Vietnam War.
The chair recognizes Mr. Shine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. We have a distinguished service member in our presence today, Staff Sergeant John Footman. It's always a priority of mine to support our veterans and appropriately honor them for their service.
Members, please take your conversations outside the rail.
Retired Staff Sergeant John Footman is no exception. He's with us in the gallery today, standing right behind the clock. Staff Sergeant Footman heroically served 2 combat tours in Vietnam, remained a military member until his retirement in '87, and throughout his time in the military, he honorably served 2 Bronze Star medals with Valor Device. A Valor Device is for boldness and courage and personal bravery in the face of danger. It distinguishes a soldier in actions in combat. In 1970, he retired. In 1970, Sergeant Footman merely was handed his Bronze Star Medal with Valor Device and a Purple Heart that he had earned voluntarily serving his 2nd tour in Vietnam. On January the 11th of this year, after 52 years, retired Staff Sergeant Footman was properly recognized and received the Bronze Star Medal with Valor Device and his Purple Heart in a pinning ceremony at Fort Hood, Texas. To honor his long-term overdue pinning, as well as his persistent activity in the United States military, I ask this body to help me congratulate a great hero, a U.S. Army Staff Sergeant John Footman, for his official receipt of the Bronze Star Medal with Valor Device and Purple Heart after 52 years of waiting. And we commend you, sir, for your service to our nation and the great state of Texas. And I salute you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We've already done it. Thanks for doing that. That's awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The chair lays out the following previously adopted resolution. The clerk will read the caption.
HR 476 by Oliverson, congratulating Cypress Christian School on winning the 2020-2021 Class 4A Henderson Cup.
The chair recognizes Dr. Oliverson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I'd like to suspend all necessary rules to take up and consider House Resolution 476. It's been adopted. Okay. Thank you all. House Resolution 476 congratulates Cypress Christian School on winning the 2020-2021 Division 4A Henderson Cup from the Texas Association of Private and Parochial Schools. This prestigious award honors the best overall private school in the state by considering achievements in athletics, fine arts, academic competitions. More than 25 schools vied for this prestigious title, but Cypress Christian was outstanding and finished in first place. In addition to outstanding performances by a number of sports teams, Cypress Christian School students earned 69 all-state academic awards given to athletes who have qualified for a state tournament or been voted to a district team while maintaining at least a 90% or greater academic average. Moreover, several students earned state championship titles in academic contests. CCS serves students in the North Houston area from kindergarten through 12th grade. It is ably led by the head of school, Dr. Jeffrey Potts. Through hard work and perseverance, the teachers and students of Cypress Christian School have established a record of scholastic excellence, and their outstanding efforts have been duly recognized in the Henderson Cup. Please join with me today in welcoming Cypress Christian School to the Texas House and congratulating them on this prestigious achievement.
The chair recognizes Mr. Ashby for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I move to suspend all necessary rules and take up H.R. 674.
Members, you heard the motion to objection. The chair hears none, and the rules are suspended. Following resolution, the clerk will read the resolution.
H.R. 674 by Ashby, recognizing March 29th, 2023 as 4-H Day at the State Capitol.
The chair recognizes Mr. Ashby to explain the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, today is 4-H Day at our state capitol, and that we're here to celebrate how 4-H has enriched the lives of countless number of youth and how the alumni have gone on to make a lasting positive difference in our beloved state. Established in 1908 in Jack County as an agricultural club, it has become Texas' largest youth development program with over 550,000 students participating annually. The organization's name stands for Head, Heart, Hands, and Health, emphasizing the cultivation of students with outstanding citizenship, moral character, and strong leadership skills. In a recent study, it was determined that 4-H participants are 4 times more likely than their peers to contribute to their communities, twice as likely to make healthier choices, and more likely to participate in science programs outside of school. These students are acquiring valuable life skills, preparing for college and the workforce, and engaging in projects related to science, engineering, technology, and natural resources. I'm honored to welcome a number of proud 4-H members that are here in the gallery today. I would like to ask these 4-H members to please stand and be recognized. And members, please help me welcome this group to their Texas house. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, I move adoption.
The question occurs on the adoption of the resolution. There's objection. The chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Mr. Spiller moves out all members' names of the resolution. Objection. The chair hears none. So ordered. The chair lays out the previously adopted resolution. The clerk will read the caption.
H.R. 459 by Reynolds, recognizing March 29th, 2023 as Texas Black Nurses Day.
The chair recognizes Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Speaker Phelan. Members, I'm so excited that we have recognized a previously adopted resolution, House Resolution 459, making today, March 29th, as Black Nurses Day at the Texas Capitol. I'm excited to welcome Texas Black nurses from across the Texas State Capitol. It is an honor to highlight their contributions and raise awareness of diversity in the nursing profession. Members, I don't know about you, but during COVID, there was no more special person than nurses that were on the front line, even though many of them were working around the clock, 24-hour shifts. They continued to press forward, and they really helped us overcome the worst pandemic of our lifetime. So it is an honor today to pause, to celebrate this great profession, and they're already standing up. Some of them in the gallery that I want to recognize, some of the presidents from across the state. We have Fort Bend County, Dr. Janet Sanders, wave your hand. We have from the Metroplex Dallas, Natalie Kelly, raise your hand. Gulf Coast Galveston County, Donna Arnold. Southeast Texas, Midge Julian Jacobs Bernadine. Austin, Janet Van Brickle. The Greater Houston area, Cynthia Brown. From Central Texas, Mac Parker. So we're so excited today. They're here today to advocate on good public policy. So thank you for coming to your state capitol, and thank you for the great sacrifices keeping us healthy. People may hate lawyers, they may hate engineers, but they love nurses. They love nurses. Thank you, thank you. Give them a hand.
Chair recognizes Ms. Garcia for a motion.
I motion to suspend all necessary rules to take up and consider the House Resolution 776.
Members, you've heard the motion. Is there any objection? Chair hears none, so ordered. Following resolution, clerk will read the resolution.
HR 776 by Garcia, honoring women of Bexar County for Women's History Month.
Chair recognizes Ms. Garcia.
Ooh, my papers are falling out. Look at this. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, members. Today, I am honored because we have an extraordinary number of Bexar County women who are making history, and they're being honored today in our Texas Capitol. When we thought about Women's History Month as the only woman veteran to serve in this body, we had to think of some change makers that come from our very own Bexar County. And these are women who are in the forefront of change. Their courageous leadership has been second to none, and I'm so proud to be from Bexar County, where these women are representing us every day with their hearts and souls. I'd like to recognize Ms. Kim Rapier-Verrett, philanthropist and humanitarian, Yolanda Venezuela of Kim's Angels, Pastor Shetigo Nakapodia, Marion Thomas, Executive Director of Blessed Angels Community Center. And y'all, Miss Marion brought today with her about 40 senior citizens who are visiting their capital for the first time today. We also have Lucy Adame Clark, our first woman and Latina Bexar County clerk. We have Pam Allen, founder of Eagles Flight Advocacy. We have Miss Mary Lou Alvarez, judge of the 45th District Court. Stephanie Boyd, 87th Judicial Court. Catherine Brown, constable of Precinct 4. And by the way, Constable Brown is also the first cousin of our very own Senator Boris Miles. So that's another little special tip there. Also, we have Miss Beverly Watts Davis, COO of WestCare. Janie Martinez Gonzalez, the first woman and first Latina to chair the CPS Energy Board. We also have Dr. Francine Romero, first woman vice chair of CPS Energy. Rosie Speedley Gonzalez, Court of Reflejo Court Specialty Court. Judge Rosie. She's also the first openly LGBTQ judge of Bexar County. We also have Melissa Cabello Haverda, Councilwoman of District 6, and Yolanda Huff of County Court District 12. And Judge Huff also has the Veteran Specialty Court, along with Judge Speedlin Gonzalez's Reflejo Court. And these women are pioneers of change in Bexar County and beyond. Thank you all for your service to our community. Thank you for joining us today. And please join us upon the end of this resolution for our official photo at the stairs. And with that, I'm proud to call these women my friends, my fellow public service servants, and Bexar County Women of History. Members, please join me in recognizing these incredible women and welcoming them to their state house. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move adoption.
Question occurs on the adoption of resolution. Is there any objection? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Chair recognizes Ms. Johnson of Harris for a motion.
I move to suspend the House regular order of business to take up and consider House Resolution 835.
Members, you've heard the motion. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The rules are suspended. Clerk. Following resolution, clerk will read the resolution.
H.R. 835 by A. Johnson of Harris, recognizing March 29, 2023 as Vaccine Awareness and Advocacy Day at the State Capitol and commending the work of the Baker Institute for Public Policy Center for Health and Biosciences at Rice University.
The chair recognizes Ms. Johnson of Harris to explain the resolution.
Members, today is Vaccine Awareness and Advocacy Day, hosted by Rice University's Baker Institute for Public Policy. Today, behind the dais, we have students in the gallery from Baylor College of Medicine, Rice, University of Texas at Austin, and Texas A&M University. Will y'all please stand to be recognized? The Center for Health and Biosciences unites medical and policy professionals to support data-driven legislation that addresses healthcare and advances in medicine. We are honored to represent Rice University and proud of the incredible work that they do. The Center for Health and Biosciences is truly deserving of special recognition for its efforts to improve access among all members of society. We want to thank those of you that were able to be here today. We know that you have a full day here at the Capitol, and we look forward to hearing more from you throughout the day. Mr. Speaker, I move passage.
Members, the question occurs on the adoption of the congratulatory resolution. Mr. Tenderholt has requested a record vote for the adoption of the congratulatory resolution. Record vote is granted. Clerk will ring the bell. Mr. Hunter voting aye, Ms. Howard voting aye, Ms. Collier voting aye, Ms. Johnson of Dallas voting aye, Mr. Wu voting aye, Mr. Longoria voting aye, Mr. Harless voting aye. Have all voted? Ms. Theory voting aye, Ms. Weiner voting aye, Mr. Wu voting aye, Mr. Patterson voting aye, Ms. Niavik voting aye. Have all voted? Have all voted? Being 126 ayes, 13 nays, 2 not present, the adoption resolution is adopted. Chair recognizes Ms. Johnson of Dallas for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I move to suspend all necessary rules to take up and consider H.R. 552.
Members, you heard the motion. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The rules are suspended. Clerk will read the following resolution.
H.R. 552 by Johnson of Dallas, recognizing March 29, 2023 as Texas ABA PPG Day at the State Capitol.
Chair recognizes Ms. Johnson of Dallas to explain the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, H.R. 552 recognizes members of the Texas Association for Behavior Analysis Public Policy Group to celebrate Tex ABA PBG Day at the Capitol. The Texas Association for Behavior Analysis works to advance the science and application of applied behavior analysis and is used to build the range of skills to reduce problematic behaviors in individuals with autism, intellectual and development disabilities, and a wide range of difficulties, injuries, and disabilities. During the 85th legislative session, the legislature created licensure for board-certified behavior analysts and assistant behavior analysts. Since then, the ABA has grown substantially, and behavior analysts is now a robust field. Applied behavior analysts have excelled in their efforts to enhance the quality of life for their clients while promoting inclusion and acceptance. Texas ABA serves as an information resource for the general public and professional behavior analysts to better inform the profession and clientele. Texas ABA PBG, thank you for your hard work and for advancing the practice of ABA. We are thrilled to have you with us today, and I move adoption of H.R. 552.
Question occurs on the adoption of the resolution. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Chair recognizes Mr. Hunter for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I move to suspend all necessary rules, take up H.R. 653.
Members, you've heard the motion. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The rules are suspended. Chair recognizes Mr. Hunter. Following the resolution, clerk will read the resolution.
H.R. 653 by Hunter, recognizing March 29, 2023 as Texas Association of Builders Day at the State Capitol.
Chair recognizes Mr. Hunter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, today is Texas Association of Builders Day, the state capitol. Since 1946, the members of the Texas Association of Builders have worked to advance the issue of residential housing in this state. Affiliated with their 26 local home builders associations across the state, including my local, the Coastal Bend Home Builders, they represent over 758,000 jobs and more than $71 billion annually to the Texas economy. Joining us at the Capitol today are almost 1,000 members of the association from across the state. Their leadership is here with us, including 2023 State President Donnie Evans from Wockwall, immediate past President Gene Landrip from Abilene, First Vice President Don Allen from Fort Worth, Vice President Secretary Brett Martin from Houston, Treasurer Justin McDonald from Kerrville, and Executive Director Scott Norman from Austin, and all the Coastal Bend folks up there. Welcome. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move passage.
Question occurs on the adoption of the resolution. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Mr. Rainey moves to add all the members' names. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. All members' names are added. Chair recognizes Mr. Metcalf for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I move to suspend all necessary rules, take up and consider H.R. 691.
Members, you've heard the motion. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The rules are suspended. Following resolution, clerk will read the resolution.
H.R. 691 by Metcalf, recognizing March 29, 2023 as Greater Houston Builders Association Day at the State Capitol.
Chair recognizes Mr. Metcalf.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, the Greater Houston Builders Association was chartered in 1941. GHBA is compiled of more than 1,600 member companies, making it the third largest builder association in the country and largest in Texas. Members, please welcome them to their state capitol. I move adoption.
Members, question occurs on adoption of the resolution. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Following announcement, clerk will read the announcement.
The Committee on Urban Affairs will meet today upon adjournment in Desk 89 in a formal meeting to consider pending business.
Members, we're about to go on today's calendar. If you have a bill, please be ready. The third reading bills will be record votes. Please be near your desk. The chair lays out on third reading HB 446. The clerk will read the bill.
HB 446 by Craddock, relating to the terminology used in statute to refer to intellectual disability and certain references to abolish health and human services agencies.
The chair recognizes Mr. Craddock to explain the bill.
Mr. Speaker, members, this is the bill we passed yesterday that does away with the words mental retardation and inserts intellectual disabilities. I move passage.
Does any member wish to speak for, against, or on the bill? Chair hears none. The question occurs on the final passage of HB 446. It is a record vote. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Mr. Hunter voting aye. Show Dr. Rogers voting aye. All members voted. There have been 146 ayes and 0 nays. HB 446 is finally passed. The chair lays out on third reading HB 300. The clerk will read the bill.
HB 300 by Howard, relating to an exemption from sales and use taxes for certain family care items.
The chair recognizes Ms. Howard to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Every bill that we file is very important to us, but we all know that some bills are a bit closer to our heart than others. HB 300 is one of those for me, and before I move forward, I believe that Representative Slayton has a perfecting amendment that will be acceptable to the author.
The following amendment, the clerk will read the amendment.
Amendment by Slayton.
The chair recognizes Mr. Slayton to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, the purpose of this bill is to make certain family care products tax exempt. This amendment would add a list of products being exempted as adult diapers. We have an increasingly aging population, many of whom are on fixed incomes. And from personal experience, one of my grandparents, I believe it's totally appropriate to add these products to our elderly Texans. I know that Representative Howard has her own experiences that makes this an important issue to her. And I appreciate her working with me on this amendment. I move adoption.
Mr. Slayton sends an amendment. The amendment is acceptable to the author's objection to the option amendment. The chair hears none. The amendment is adopted. Chair recognizes Ms. Howard to close on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. HB 300 as amended provides sales tax relief to Texans at all stages of life as an example of the positive impact we can have when we work on a bipartisan basis. As I mentioned yesterday, this bill is many sessions in the making, and it is with joy that I move final passage of HB 300, the Tax-Free Act. With that, I move for passage.
Does any member want to speak for, against, or on the bill? The chair hears none. The question occurs on final passage of HB 300. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Ms. Howard voting aye. Have all members voted? There have been 145 ayes and 2 nays. HB 300 is finally passed. The chair lays out on third reading HB 590. The clerk will read the bill.
HB 590 by Bales, relating to the labeling and sale of Texas honey.
The chair recognizes Mr. Bales to explain the bill.
Speaker, members, this is the Texas Honey Bill. It's about truth, honesty, and consumer protection. I move passage.
Does any member wish to speak for, against, or on the bill? Chair hears none. Chair recognizes Mr. Bales to close on the bill.
I close.
The question occurs on the final passage of HB 590. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Mr. Kane voting aye. Mr. Bales voting aye. Have all members voted? There have been 130 ayes and 16 nays. HB 590 is finally passed. The chair lays out on third reading HB 608. The clerk will read the bill.
HB 608 by Shaheen, relating to the sale of fireworks before and during the Diwali holiday.
The chair recognizes Mr. Shaheen to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 608 seeks to give County Commissioners Court the authority to allow the purchase of fireworks for the holiday of Diwali. Move passage.
Does any member wish to speak for, against, or on the bill? The chair hears none, and the chair recognizes Mr. Shaheen to close on the bill.
I close.
The question occurs on final passage of HB 608. This is a record vote. The clerk will ring the bell. Have all members voted? There have been 139 ayes and 8 nays. HB 608 is finally passed. The chair lays out on second reading HB 727. The clerk will read the bill.
HB 727 by Rose, relating to the applicability of the death penalty to a capital offense committed by a person with severe mental illness.
The chair recognizes Ms. Rose to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, House Bill 727 is a bill that we have passed out of this chamber twice, and I believe that the third time is a charm. And so I know there's been some, well, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to let Mr. Leach, Representative Leach, go there. But members, today, individuals with severe mental illness can be sentenced to death. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that the current protections for individuals facing capital punishment are founded on the idea that individuals who fail to understand their actions or why they are being punished are not fit to be sentenced to death. The exemption created under this bill focuses on, it only applies to 3 persons. It applies to a person who has schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, and or bipolar disorder. So what House Bill 140 does, it creates a way for the courts to assess on a case-by-case basis. It doesn't mean that everyone that goes through there, it has to be a case-by-case basis, and it has to be raised by the defendant, whether the defendant has severe mental illness. And it requires the severe mental illness determination before a trial, which saves millions of dollars, because most of the time when you have a death penalty case, you go through appeals process multiple times, and it costs the states millions of dollars. And so if a person is found guilty, they will receive life in prison without the possibility of parole. Again, a person will still be punished. That person just will not be sentenced to death. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I move past it. But do we get this? Don't they get to speak?
Mr. Slayton, for what purpose?
Mr. Speaker, does the representative yield for some questions?
Sure. Yes, Mr. Speaker.
The lady yields for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Rose, so this bill is going to allow mental health, which is not medical science, mental health, which is observational based.
What?
It's going to allow those factors to determine if someone, let me back up here. Are you aware that there's medical science and then there's mental health, there's observational science?
I'm not aware.
It's based on observation. A psychologist will sit and talk with someone, and they make their determination by a discussion, by observing. They're not doing a medical test. If you have something wrong with you medically, right, you would take a test, and of course, in a criminal case, you would have a forensic scientist determining the cause of death and what was used, and then even doing fingerprints to determine who did it. That could be medical tests. But mental health is going to be observation. The determination if someone is mentally ill, there is not a test to give someone that's reproducible. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Well, there is a difference. And so, in fact, let me tell you this. There's been shown in 2018, a study by the Secret Service National Threat Assessment Center, that 33% of mass shooters have schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, the illness that your bill includes. Is it true that in your bill, potentially 33% of these heinous mass killers could be exempt from capital punishment?
Mr. Slayton, let me explain to you what my bill does, because apparently you have a total perception of what my bill does. This bill is on a case-by-case basis, and it only applies to persons with 3 mental illness. The three major severe mental illnesses, which is schizophrenia, schizoaffective, and or bipolar disorder. Now, I don't want to get into debate with you about science and this and that. You read my bill, and I understand you probably have orders to come in here and try to disrupt the bill, but I've explained to you, and we've even had a conversation offline just a few minutes ago. So I don't know what you're trying to accomplish, if you're trying to get the group, the chamber riled up about it, or what.
No,
if you're going to vote no against the bill, vote no.
Thank you for that. I do have questions, though.
But I
because,
just
like I say, the
answered your
Secret
questions a
Service,
few minutes ago.
Ma'am, you just said two of the items in your bill, two of the qualifying items in your bill were listed by the Secret Service National Threat Assessment Center that 33% of mass shooters have schizophrenia and bipolar. And you're going to give people 33% of mass shooters.
The chair will remind members who are at the back mic to ask questions of the author, not make statements.
Okay. Okay. So.
Move passage.
So if your bill passes, would it be true that potentially 33% of these heinous mass killers could be exempt from capital punishment?
That's not true.
It's not true?
No, that's not true.
Okay. Is it true? Is it not true that under your bill we would determine whether or not someone has murdered who has murdered dozens of children, for example, is eligible for capital punishment based on observational and uncertain methods?
That's not true.
So what tests are they, can you help us, what tests do they give people to determine if they have these, if it's not based on observation and psychological methods and questions, appointments? How does that happen? What test?
It will be the same test they use post-trial.
What is that test?
It's a psychiatric evaluation, sir.
Okay. Now, are you aware of the case of the Hillside Strangler in the late 1970s?
No, I'm not aware.
Okay. So in the late 1970s, these two people murdered people, and in the trial...
That's not a question, Mr.
I'm asking my question. These two, you said you weren't familiar, so I wanted to make sure you knew about it, and then I was going to ask. So in that trial, this person that was on trial for murder, he fooled 4 experts that he was multiple personality disorder. So now, are you aware that according to the study by the National Library of Medicine, 17.5% of criminal defendants were able to avoid going to prison by convincingly faking mental illness? Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that.
You're not aware? Okay. Well, so 17.5% of criminal defendants have avoided going to prison by faking mental illness, and then 33% of people that commit mass murders have bipolar and schizophrenia.
Mr. Slayton, I will remind you, do you have a question?
Yes. Well, are you aware that under your bill, if it passes, people who it hasn't been proven they have the disorder?
That's not true, Mr. Slayton.
How is it proven? If 17% can fool the experts, and then 33% of them actually have bipolar and schizophrenia, they actually have it.
Mr. Slayton, a psychologist or psychiatrist can tell if a person is malingering.
They can tell?
They're able to detect if a person is malingering mental illness.
But these studies I just shared with you said that 17.5% can fool experts. You don't feel like that's a problem? I mean, we don't want people who are wrongly convicted to be punished. I think we agree on that. But also, putting in these parameters that your bill has, it now allows for people to fool the system. And I just think it's I just don't
Mr.
think it's
Slayton,
healthy.
I did not hear a question in that comment.
I'm done with my question, sir.
Mr. Speaker, I move passage.
The following amendment, the clerk will read the amendment.
Amendment by Tinderholt.
The chair recognizes Mr. Tinderholt to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, my amendment I think is pretty simple. Anytime
Mr. Leach, for
someone-
what purpose?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to raise a point of order on this amendment as it's not germane to the bill.
Please bring your point of order down front. Mr. Leach raises a point of order against further consideration of the Tinderholt Amendment, Amendment number 1, under Rule 11, Section 2 of the House Rules of Procedure on the grounds that the amendment is not germane. As introduced and reported from committee, the bill covers a single class of persons, those who are unable to form the requisite mental intent for the commission of a capital offense. The amendment addresses a separate, distinct class of persons, those who, with malice or forethought, committed a capital offense. These two classes are not the same, and for that reason, the amendment is not germane. Accordingly, the point of order is well taken and sustained. The chair recognizes Mr. Leach to speak in favor of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I don't want to belabor the point, but I do want to take a second and tell you why I am not just voting yes on this bill, but proudly supporting this bill. There's been some misinformation that's been sent around this morning, and including a letter that was placed on your desk. And for those members who might be new to the chamber, you should always be wary when any group leaves a letter on your desk but doesn't testify against a bill in committee. And I believe that group and those groups, as much as I respect them today, are misled themselves on the bill. I am a supporter, a strong supporter of the death penalty. I believe that in Texas, we need the death penalty and should utilize the death penalty in the most heinous cases. But I am, as a supporter of the death penalty, against executing people who, at the time of the offense, had a severe mental illness. And that is well-established constitutional law, and other states are passing this law, and it's time for Texas to do the same. We should not, especially as pro-life conservatives, execute people who did not have the requisite mens rea at the time of the offense. Period. We can't do that. And for those of you who might believe that we can and should do that, if you're in the business or if you're interested in saving taxpayer dollars, this bill will save the state of Texas millions of taxpayer dollars every year. Because whether you know it or not right now, the state of Texas is litigating these matters on nearly every single death penalty case, every single one of them. The reason that we have some death row inmates who are sitting in solitary confinement for 23 and a half hours a day for, in many cases, 10, 20, 30, 40 years is because these issues are being tied up in our courts. Good lawyers on both sides are fighting these out, and the state of Texas, through our Attorney General's office, is being forced to show up to spend hundreds of millions of our taxpayer dollars fighting these issues. And what this bill does, all it does, is it requires this determination to be moved, if the defendant so chooses, from the end of the trial to the beginning of the trial. That's it. This decision can be made at the beginning of the trial can proceed, and if it was determined that the defendant who committed the offense had the requisite mens rea at the time of the offense, then that defendant can be executed by the state. If not, then they can't, but they could still get life in prison without parole. I believe this is a good bill that law and order, death penalties supporting Republicans and Democrats should proudly vote for. And I think I hope that you'll put all the misinformation aside and cast your yes vote for this bill today.
Mr. Slayton, for what purpose?
Mr. Speaker, there's the gentleman yield for some questions.
The gentleman yield for questions.
Yes.
The gentleman yields.
Thank you, Representative Leach. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Leach, so what misinformation are you referring to exactly?
Well, the information that was provided to members that I've seen is that this bill is an end around to do away with the death penalty. That this bill is some part of a concerted, secret effort to ultimately do away with the death penalty in Texas. And I'm telling the members here, if that were the case, I would not vote for it. And I, in fact, as a death penalty supporter, I believe that passing this bill strengthens the utilization of the death penalty in Texas, not weakens it.
Okay, and in 2018, the Secret Service National Threat Assessment Center, they determined that 33% of mass shooters had schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Were you aware of their research?
Yes, I am, Representative Slayton. And I'm also aware of the fact that those issues right now in every single death penalty case are being litigated. This bill does not change that at all.
I understand. But if this bill passes, then according to this research, 33% of people that commit a mass act of violence are not going to be eligible for the death penalty because it says 33% of them had schizophrenia and bipolar disorder.
That is patently not true, Representative Slayton. That is absolutely not true. What this bill sets up is a process by way where the judge can make this determination, can hear evidence. Representative Slayton realized that in this determination, in this hearing before a trial, both the defendant and the state of Texas get to put on evidence. If the judge makes the determination, then the trial goes forward. Nothing about that changes in this case.
Okay, were you aware of the study I referred to? The National Library of Medicine said 17.5% of criminal defendants were able to avoid going to prison by convincingly faking mental illness. Were you aware of that study?
Representative Slayton, I was not aware of that specific survey or whatever it is you're talking about, but I do trust our judges, and I do trust our judicial system to make those determinations. We as the legislature are not here to make those determinations. You either trust our judges and juries or you don't, and I do.
Well, the issue is with the experts or the psychologists, psychiatrists who are evaluating these criminals. It's them that are being fooled, and of course, judges, they have to make their decision. This is about they've been able to fool experts to avoid going to prison. So that's no small number, 17.5%.
Representative Slayton, with all due respect, that is just a fundamental misunderstanding of how the process works. At the end of the day, the defendant can, and right now does, and will still be able to present whatever evidence he or she wants. Period. Can use whatever medical test he or she wants to get or not. And then the state, Representative Slayton, gets to do the same. If the state wants to offer controverting evidence for any of the experts, if the state wants to discredit any of the defendant's tests, any of the defendant's evidence, just like right now, they still get to do so, and this bill does not change that in any way.
Thank you, Representative Leach.
Thank you. Members, I encourage you to vote yes on Vice Chair Rose's bill, and to do so proudly.
The chair recognizes Ms. Rose to close on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I close.
The question occurs in the passing and engrossment of HB 727. Mr. Slayton has requested a record vote. Record vote has been granted. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Ms. Rose voting aye. Mr. Goldman voting aye. Show Ms. Slauson voting nay. Show Mr. Patterson voting nay. Of all members voting, there have been 84 ayes and 61 nays. HB 727 is passed through engrossment. The chair lays out on second reading HB 584. The clerk will read the bill.
H.R. 584 by Capriglione, relating to the development of a state information technology credential offered by public junior colleges to address shortages in the state information resources workforce.
The chair recognizes Mr. Capriglione to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, over the years, we've worked tirelessly to ensure Texas invests in its cybersecurity and information technology systems to keep Texans' data safe and our government operations free from cyber attacks. Many agencies have expressed interest in filling these positions with two-year graduates, but have been unable to, as state classification guidelines require a four-year degree for almost all IT-related positions. House Bill 584 would change that. This bill allows the Department of Information Resources to enter agreements with any community college or technical college to develop a state information technology credential that is tailored to address shortages in the state information resources workforce. The credential would be offered in conjunction with the student's pursuit of an associate degree in a relevant field and includes a one-year apprenticeship working on state.
Mr. Kane, for what purpose?
Question for the author.
The gentleman yield for questions. The gentleman yields.
Representative, are you going to be doing amendments today or is that tomorrow?
Okay, well, this is a new session and a new me. I do not have an amendment today.
Okay, thank you.
House Bill 584 will ensure that as the state continues to invest, we're also investing in a resilient state IT workforce. Mr. Speaker, I move passage.
The Speaker moves to add Mr. Capriglione's remarks to the journal regarding amendments. Is there objection? Chair hears none. Any member will speak for, against, or on the bill? The question occurs on passage and engrossment of HB 584. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. HB 584 is passed in engrossment. The chair lays out on second reading HB 624. The clerk will read the bill.
HB 624 by Harris of Anderson, relating to emergency medical transport by firefighters of certain patients.
The chair recognizes Mr. Harris of Anderson to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I do have an amendment.
Following amendment, the clerk will read the amendment.
Amendment by Harris of Anderson.
The chair recognizes Mr. Harris of Anderson to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this is an amendment. It's a simple cleanup that was brought to me by the Texas Health and Human Services Department to just make the language line up with existing statute. I move adoption.
Mr. Harris sends the amendment. The amendment is acceptable to the author. The objection to the adoption of the amendment. Chair hears none. The amendment is adopted. Chair recognizes Mr. Harris to close on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, House Bill 624 would amend the Health and Safety Code to give firefighters statutory authority to transport patients to the hospital in certain emergency situations under specific requirements. I move passage.
Does any member wish to speak for, against, or on the bill? The chair sees none. The question occurs on final passage of the HB 624. All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. HB 624 is passed in engrossment. The chair lays out on second reading HB 28. The clerk will read the bill.
HB 28 by Slauson, relating to enhancing the punishment for certain conduct constituting the criminal offense of aggravated assault.
The chair recognizes Ms. Slauson to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I am pleased to lay out for your consideration today HB 28, the Todd Hoagland Act, which is named after constituents Brandy Todd and Jamie Hoagland. Brandy Todd was a young, vivacious mom watching her children play at the park when a stranger stabbed her from behind, nearly severing her spinal cord. And while she survived that vicious attack, she lives confined to a wheelchair and permanently paralyzed. Jamie Hoagland was a bright college student at home one evening when a stranger, who was in the wrong location and mistakenly thought he was at a drug dealer's home, arrived at Jamie's door instead, shot her in the face, and left her a quadriplegic. The Todd Hoagland Act provides a penalty enhancement from a second-degree felony, as it currently is, to a first-degree felony for violent crimes like these, where an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon leaves a victim in a persistent vegetative state or irreversibly paralyzed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any member wish to speak for, against, or on the bill? Chair sees none. The chair recognizes Ms. Slauson to close on the bill.
Thank you. I move passage.
The question occurs on passage of engrossment of HB 28. All in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. HB 28 is passed to engrossment. The following bills and resolutions on first reading and referral. The clerk will read the bills and resolutions.
HB 5328 by Hunter, relating to the authority of the Aransas County Navigation District to enter into certain leases, referred to the Committee on Transportation. HB 5329 by Gates, relating to the creation of the Fort Bend County Municipal Utility District number 262, granting limited power of eminent domain, providing authority to issue bonds, providing authority to impose assessment fees and taxes, referred to the Committee on Land Resource Management. HB 5330 by Reynolds, relating to the service area of the Houston Community College System District, referred to the Committee on Higher Education. HB 5331 by Murray, relating to authorizing certain cities to change the date on which their general election for officers is held, referred to the Committee on Elections. HB 5332 by Bales, relating to the creation of Montgomery County Municipal Utility District number 229, granting a limited power of eminent domain, providing authority to issue bonds, providing authority to impose fees and assessments, referred to the Committee on Land Resource Management. The following resolutions are being referred to the Committee on Resolutions calendars. HCR 92 by Rogers, HCR 93 by Craddock, HCR 94 by Craddock, HR 681 by Hinojosa, HR 682 by A. Johnson of Harris, HR 683 by A. Johnson of Harris, HR 684 by Buckley, HR 687 by Lujan, HR 688 by Lujan, HR 689 by Leo Wilson, HR 690 by Morales of Harris, The following resolutions by our DAWs are being referred to the Committee on Resolutions calendars: H.R. 693, H.R. 695 through H.R. 785, and H.R. 787 through H.R. 798. H.R. 694 by Alverson, H.R. 786 by A. Johnson of Harris, H.R. 799 by Schaefer, H.R. 800 by A. Johnson of Harris, H.R. 802 by Plisa, H.R. 803 by Plisa, H.R. 804 by Plisa. The following resolutions by Gonzales Paso are being referred to the Committee on Resolutions calendars: H.R. 807 and 808, H.R. 811 through H.R. 866, H.R. 809 by Belov Kaufman, H.R. 810 by Belov Kaufman, H.R. 867 by Stuckey, H.R. 868 by Wally, H.R. 869 by Swanson, H.R. 870 by Lalani, H.R. 871 by Lalani.
The chair recognizes Ms. Button for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, there's something very important about today. It is the 20th anniversary for our chairman, Morgan Mile, and his supermodel wife, Kenia. And let's all celebrate with him. And please go to tell him, make sure that he buys his wife roses and jewelry, not just cheap candies. Let's celebrate.
Members, it is my pleasure to announce that Mr. Dennis Paul is celebrating his birthday today. Happy birthday, Mr. Paul. The chair recognizes Mr. Hefner for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, just want to remind everybody today is the Capitol Commission Bible Study. It's on the third floor in the back hall. Bible study after adjournment.
Mr. Slayton, for what purpose?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to request the remarks between myself and Representative Rose and myself and Representative Leach be reduced to writing and placed in the journal.
Members, you heard the motion. The objection, chair hears none, so ordered. The chair recognizes Mr. Thompson of Brazoria for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today at 1:30 in the Ag Museum, we'll have an organizational meeting for the Manufacturing Caucus. So if you would, please, we'd love to have you attend. Thank you.
Members, the speaker's desk is clear. If you have any announcements, please bring them down front. Ms. Thompson of Harris moves the House adjourn until Thursday at 10 a.m. in the memory of Jimmy Don Blair of Conroe. Is there objection? The chair hears none and the House stands adjourned.